So winter, early spring, depending on where you are, is a good time to be moving any sorts of shrubs or trees, etc. Fruit trees in this case, and exactly a pear tree. It's a good time to be moving your trees, etc. They're dormant, so you know it's quite easy to dig them up and stick them in wherever you want them to go. I can't really do it in winter here because the ground is like frozen really from sort of December until often actually past March, but we've had quite a mild spring here in Nova Scotia so far. It's the March the 25th I think. So the ground is diggable, so I can actually move this plant, dig it up. First thing I need to do though, well, this pear tree, I had it here in my little sort of nursery bed because I didn't have anywhere to put it. But now I've got somewhere to put it. I want to prune it quite hard back before I move it, because obviously when I move it to its new position, the roots aren't going to be set in there and, you know, really sort of anchoring it. So with the strong winds we sort of get in any time of year actually in Nova Scotia, but you know, you'll often get them in springtime. It will be rocking back and forward with all this top growth, etc. And the roots can't exactly support all this growth either once it starts to for the leaves to start coming out. So let's prune it hard back, and that will set it off nicely for its new home. Same with all sort of fruit trees really. What I want to try and do with this actual pear tree is get some sort of cup shape, and I don't really want much growth in the centre because I want a nice little bit of air to get through, and any fruit that grows I want it sort of, you know, around this outside area so it can get lots of sunlight. So really I'm just going to give this a good prune first, and then we'll dig it up, and first actually we'll make a new hole in the new position, and we'll talk about that. But so let me crack on here. So I'm going to move anything that's coming on the inside anyway. And also the fruit is going to come on not new growth, but on little knobbly bits that you get on the old growth, etc. So these ones that are coming inwards, in fact these ones that are coming inwards I want to cut off completely anyway. Anything on the inside. So as with all sort of pruning, you want to cut back to an actual just above a growing point, and these growing points here I want to go facing outwards. So let's cut these. I'm going to cut these back by half, I think, these uprights. And there we go, all around the same sort of height, and with a growing point, a little bud going outwards. So I'll get on with this, and I'll be right back when I've given it a good prune and ready to dig it out. Right, there we go. So we've got a nice open centre now. I've reduced the height down quite a bit, so ready to dig it up. Well, not quite. First of all, let's go and dig out a nice hole for its new home. So here we are in the orchard. As you can see, things are still very much dormant here in Nova Scotia. Got to do the pruning of my apple trees, so I've mostly got apple trees in here. 1, 2, 3, 2 step over apples, as you can see there, and I've moved another pear tree, well, a pear treette sapling, just behind what's going to be a seat there, and that's going to be fan trained out either side of the seat. Now here is where I'm going to plant the pear tree. I did have an apple tree here, but it died, so hopefully that's not a bad omen for the pear tree, but we'll see. So I'm just going to, hopefully it's not going to be as bad to dig here because I've already planted something here before. Normally anywhere I dig in my garden is massively rocky and a right malarkey, but hopefully this will be nice and easy to dig out. And I'm just going to dig a nice wide hole. Might have to dig it wider when I've actually dug the pear tree up and see what the roots are like. But first of all, I'm just going to dig it up. So it feels mostly nice and easy to dig around where the apple tree was. So that's good. Oh, but still rocks straight away. Always amusing. Right, let me dig this hole out then, and I'll come back to you and we'll dig the pear tree out and move into the final operations. So I've dug the hole. Now I'm just going to dig up the pear tree. I'm going to start digging up nice and wide with the spade, and then maybe I need to lever it up a little bit with the actual fork, because it's sort of the pear tree is dormant. I haven't got to worry so much about disturbing the roots, etc., but obviously you don't want to cut into them if you don't have to. So nice wide circle round. This has only been in here a couple of years, so hopefully, the roots won't have gone down too far. But no, I think I'm wrong. They have already gone out quite a bit out that way. So I don't mind cutting the roots when they're that far out. See if I can lever it out a bit. Okay, so I made a little bit of a mistake at the end there by pulling that root, quite a strong root here, but still got, some nice strong roots. I'm probably going to cut this back a bit more now, actually. Seeing what roots I've got there, I want to give it every chance in its new position. So I'll probably cut it back another third. Give it a good chance. Right, let's move it over to the new position. I forgot to mention actually, if we had rain all day yesterday, so this is got plenty of water to it. Otherwise I would have, normally if you've had a bit of a dry spell, etc., I would have given this a good water about an hour before moving it. And then move it on. So let's get it into its new position as soon as we can and give it every chance to move on. Right, here we go. Let's have a look, shall we? Right, I've got a bit more of a hole to dig around the sides, give them every chance. I want this to be about the level that I planted it, that it was planted before, but maybe slightly raised above that, just a touch, because once I fill this in again, and it will slightly settle a bit more, so we don't want it to sink down and into a bowl or anything like that. We want it slightly raised rather than in a bowl, so that it, you know, gets too much water and rots, etc. But let's widen this out a little bit. Immediately I've gone a bit wider, there's loads of rocks. Now I'm not going to put any compost or anything like that in the hole, because I want to encourage the roots, you know, not to settle for the nice composty sort of earth right by the plant. I want to encourage them to go out in search of water and nutrients, and then they get a good anchor for the actual tree itself. Bit more. Another nice rock for my rock edging collection. Right, that's about right, hole width wise. Now, that's where we were, so I'll put a bit more earth in the hole itself. I think that'll do. Let's fill it up. Going to heel it in, firm it in around the roots. I think it needs to be a bit higher. Right, for a change, I don't seem to be have enough earth in the hole that I've dug out. It must have disappeared while I wasn't looking. I'm going to go and get some compost and I'll be right back. So, I forgot to mention bird song. It's definitely springtime now when you can hear a bit of bird song. Absolutely beautiful, and there's birds in the background there twittering away. I'm not exactly sure what that one is, but it's a welcome sound indeed, welcome sound indeed. Right, let's get on with finishing this job, shall we? Like I said, we don't want it sitting in a mound, sorry, sitting in a bowl. Right, that's that in. Next thing, give it, like I said, it's been chucking it down with rain. It's very wet, but give it every chance. So I'm going to give it a good watering. And I've made a little bit of a depression around, a little bit around the side here to give the chance for the water to not run off, because we've got a bit of a slope here. There we go. And like I said, going to give it a bit more of a trim. Right, you might have thought I've been a bit brutal with this poor old pear tree, but you know, by giving it a good haircut, I'm giving it every chance to get itself established, and this will stimulate growth anyway into the season. All I've got to do now is put a nice mulch around the base of the actual pear tree, about 2 foot out. I'm not going to do it now because I want to use seaweed, and I need to go down the beach and get some seaweed. You can use the bark chips like I've got here, or compost or whatever, but just a good couple of feet, so not right up to the actual bark itself, but leave a little gap, and then a couple of feet out, and then that's going to obviously suppress any weeds, so the roots are not competing with weeds, especially now at the start, and it'll feed the actual tree as the mulch breaks down. So I'm going to use seaweed, always use seaweed around my apple trees and my fruit trees, because well, it seems to do really well. They're flourishing since I planted them. This pear tree needs another pear tree to actually produce pears themselves, so, you know, for the blossom it needs a mate, so that's why I planted them so close together. I can't remember the actual term for that, but never mind. There we are, one pear tree moved in its new position in the orchard, hopefully set fair to blossom very nicely. I'm giving it every chance. Job's a good one. Spring is here.